Hi, students. This is a overview of last week and looking ahead at next week, an introduction to genres as we move ahead. First of all, I want to talk about last week. Looking through the forums and the journals and the assignments, it was fun to get to know you guys and fun to hear your thoughts and your comments about the relationship between the reader and the book. And I felt like after reading the journals that we have a good understanding of Objective One. But I want to basically hit on a few things. The key words from last week were basically the relationship, aesthetic, and efferent. The relationship, it's real important when you consider picking books. Um, that those relationships you foster with your students, and you do it by the activities that you choose and the opportunities that you choose. Those are the things that will foster that relationship that allow students into that world and be a part of what's going on within the story. Giving them chances to do journals and things will allow them to make their own connections between their experiences in the reading. Having discussions will allow them to use their own filter and to listen to other people's filters on how they go through the story and how they have come to understand the storylines. And I feel like we have a good understanding of all that when it comes to last week's lesson. So one of the things I want to hit on before we move into next week is one of the things that came up a lot is that aesthetic tends to be the more of the motivator, and I don't want you to get confused by that, because I have definitely seen lessons where efferent type texts were involved and only involved where the students were highly motivated. One such lesson I saw last year, a teacher was taking a risk, and she had made a poster, and basically in the middle of the poster, why are whales so big? And that was the only thing in the middle of the poster. And then around the room, she had given students efferent type books, websites, resources she did on QR codes, and the kids would go and they would look for information, and then they'd go back to the poster and they would share their information, they would draw their information, and the kids were so engaged that normally when the principal walks into the classroom, the kids will stop and notice, or they'll stop and wave, or any of those types of things. And the kids didn't notice I was in there. That's always a good sign for me. And when they came and finally figured out that I was there, I just had students telling me about what they were doing. They were less interested in finding out what I was doing, and it was a great lesson. And the teacher and the students learned a lot in that little setting there. I also had a situation when I was an 8th grade teacher where I would have them debate certain things, and there one, for instance, was bodily systems, and we would put out a whole lot of information, and they would have to debate on which one could we live without, or most likely be able to live without, which one's the least important. And none of them we could live without, by the way. But which one was least important? And they had to argue it out, and they had to do it based on research. And so they really wanted to get their arguments set in stone, and the efferent reading and literature that was out there was engaging enough that again, that it was kind of lesson that hooked them, and they were into it, and they didn't want to leave when the bell rang. And so that's always also a good sign for middle school teachers. So with that, I want to move into next week. Next week we're going to be talking about genres, and really I want you to go through the activities during the week, and I want you to consider some things. Why is it important to know the different genres of literature? And how can we use these different genres to motivate both our emerging readers and our experienced readers? And why is it important to be exposed to the gamut, the large, to a numerous amount of genres within the classroom? And and you being future classroom teachers, consider, what does it look like? How do you incorporate the different genres and those types of things? So I want you to continue the process that you already started last week of really being thinking of yourself as a classroom teacher, putting yourself in that position, and what would you do in that predicament. So with that, I need to assign each of you a different genre, and I'm going to do that now. Angela, I'm going to have you be the picture book genre. Amy, I'm going to have you traditional tales. Robert, I'm going to have you poetry. Lisa, realistic and historical fiction. Shay, I'm going to have you biography and informational text. April, I'm going to have you multicultural or international type reading. And then Rachel, I'm going to have you fantasy, sorry. And so once again, Angela, I'm going to have you picture book. Amy, I'm going to have you traditional tales. Robert, poetry. Lisa, realistic or historical fiction. Shay, biography or informational text. April, multicultural or international reading. And then Rachel, I'm going to have you do fantasy. So with that, have a great week. I look forward to reading your comments on the forum, and looking at your activities, and finally your journals. So just a reminder, everything's due on Saturday, and again, look forward to it. Had a great first week. Thank you.